This comet floating in the sky in this time lapse called F3 Neowise illustrates something about the past. Even though this comet is not the comet I'm going to talk about today, it shows something very interesting of how long they can last in the sky and how creepy they must have looked to an unscientific universe. But today let's talk about Halley's Comet. That's just the name they gave it, but it had previous names, as you will see. We know for a fact that every prehistoric nation has seen Halley's Comet, even the Egyptians. We just can't confirm 100% when they speak about this comet that stayed in the sky for days and weeks and sometimes months if they're talking about Halley's Comet. The first confirmed one, because we know the date of when it was written and the date of when Halley's Comet would show up, is from China. But this is just written down. Again, Halley's Comet is an international sighting, so everyone around the world would have seen it. But how was it written down? Halley's Comet is basically visible every 76 years. It being so frequent means that we can trust it as a measure. And so even Edward Halley, when he was calculating where it was going to come, he used historical texts to make sure that he could calculate which parts in history did it move and what time. And using these historical accounts, he could easily calculate, well, difficultly calculate, when the next sighting was going to be. And of course, they saw it. But he goes on and says that since the first publishing, the compendium, he had found out a method of easily and accurately computing the motions of comets in any ellipses whatever, and that in turning over the catalogues of ancient comets, he had found three more preceding the others in the same order and intervals, to which in 305 about Easter, in 1380 the month uncertain, and another in 1456 in the month of June, and this made him resume his former opinion with more confidence than formerly, so that in the whole he had obtained a catalogue of 6 comets, which appeared in the years 1305, 1380, 1456, 1531, 1607, 1682, and being thus prepared instead of the parabolic orbit, using ancient records and historical records with the new science of the day, with Isaac Newton and people like Kepler, he was able to predict. But first, he needed to find out which place on Earth was the best to observe. This comet was very obscure, and although it moved swift and came near enough our Earth, yet we who are wont to be curious enough in these matters saw nothing of it. For want of observation, I have left out of the foregoing catalogue those 2 remarkable comets which have appeared in this our age, one in November in the year 1689, the other in February in the year 1702, for they directing their courses towards the southern parts of the world, and being scarce conspicuous here in Europe, met with no observers capable of the business. But if any one shall bring from India or the other parts an accurate series of requisite observations, I willingly fall to work again and undergo the fatigue of representing their orbits in numbers as I have done the rest. Enter India. They had been making multiple observations of this comet, sometimes thinking that it's a completely different comet, also associating it with death, as many other civilizations did, as we will talk about later. In the 1100s, a historical record is known of the comets, and as it says here, prior to the 12th century, no historical record are known for observed comets. Jayadeva in 1101 to 1173 AD, the famous poet, in his Gita Govinda, alludes to a comet. We may speculate that he might have witnessed a past appearance of Halley's comet in 1145 AD. This situation appears anomalous since the 2nd to the 12th century AD, where the heydays of Siddhantic astronomy, when many celestial observations were carried out. From NASA, we see a tapestry showing a comet whizzing by, and this is what they have to say about the Halley's Comet in history. Although possible records of Halley's Comet from its 467 BCE apparition may be found in Greece and China, the first positive observation date to 240 BCE in the Chinese chronicles records of the grand historian Oshiji. Over the subsequent centuries, observations of what is now known to be Halley's Comet are found in Babylonia, China, Japan, India, the Middle East, Europe, and even possibly on petroglyphs in North America. People in those societies often associated its appearance with dramatic political and social events such as the defeat of Attila the Hun in 451 CE or the death of kings during its 1066 appearance. Halley's Comet approached within 1 million miles of the Earth as it first appeared in April of that year. Observers in England saw it as a bad omen, portending great change for the Anglo-Saxon kingdom ruled by the King Harold, while Duke William of Normandy believed it was a positive sign from heaven. In the late September, William's army landed in England, and on October 14, 1066, he defeated Harold's army at the Battle of Hastings, killing the Anglo-Saxon king. Because of a lack of written writing, we do not know exactly what happened when the Africans, who would have had one of the best views of Halley's Comet, what did they do when they saw Halley's Comet in the sky for several days with the naked eye? Did they freak out? Well, they must have, because we have written record about how comets were sometimes believed to usher in the death of someone important